calm down, folks. Just calm down. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. I'm Barry Besse. To my right here is my son Carson, and we're been doing this podcast for a couple of years now. Got a lot of great responses. If you're not familiar with the podcast, we talk about the National Hockey League and more specifically our two favorite teams, the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we also go over what's the latest news in the NHL. You can get us live right now on Facebook and also live on YouTube. And if you're going to go the YouTube route, we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Best Boy Center Ice Podcast on YouTube. And if you like to comment while we're going along here, you can comment either at our YouTube page or here on Facebook Live. And Carson, it's good to see you again. And it is the Olympic break. Officially, we are in the Olympics. It started last Friday. We'll get into the Olympics. But first, what I wanted to kind of do is it's a little bit more than halfway through the season, a lot more than halfway through the season. But we always marked the All-Star game or
the halfway point.
About the halfway point. So why don't we kind of just go over a little bit about where we see our teams as far as you can give them a letter grade or however you want to do it. And then we'll see our biggest surprises and disappointments for the first quote unquote half of the season. So why don't you start with how you think the season's gone so far for the Pittsburgh Penguins?
A+. I mean,
I would say so too.
They've shocked a lot of
from the last couple of years. I'd say so too. Yeah,
they shocked a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think out of all the teams, really besides Buffalo, I think this team is the one that surprised people the most. Yeah. I think people consistently try to write them off that they're not going to hang in there, and they're not going to hang in there, and they're not going to hang in there, and they just continue to hang in there. And they're second in the Metro, which they haven't been that high consistently because they've been consistently in that second spot for a couple weeks. They haven't consistently been that high in the division. They haven't even finished that high in the division, I don't think, since they won what was the East Division in the COVID year in 2021. They haven't been that high in the division since that happened. So it's cool to see them hang in there, really, and their divisional play is the reasoning that they're there, because they've only lost once in regulation all season to their divisional rivals, which makes a difference. They shocked a lot of people, and me included. I thought they were gonna kind of float around, maybe a playoff bubble spot, or be kind of, maybe missing out and just picking up pieces to get draft picks and stuff. And they've been able to get young and play really well at the same time. And they consistently have plenty of draft picks. They have the most draft picks, I think, over the next few seasons out of all the teams. And they're able just to kind of ship these guys in, and it works. I mean, the depth pieces they've picked up have been phenomenal, better than what they should have been. Brazo's got his career high in goals already by 3 or 4 already beaten, and it's only halfway. Mantha's got 20 goals. I mean, all these guys that he got, that Kutuba's picked up, they've been steals, and they've been looking really good. I think at this point, yeah, they're going to the trade deadline. They might need a right-hand defenseman because they've had a lot of injuries on that side of it, but I really don't think you change anything.
No.
You have some guys maybe ready to step in if they need to, but you don't change anything because right now they're playing the total 4-line game where every line's contributing, and it's not just the big guys having to score, it's everybody that's scoring, and that's why they're getting so many goals. I just don't think you change anything. And I think if they make the playoffs, that Dan Muse will win Coach of the Year or Kyle Dubas will win GM of the Year, one of the two, because this team was by media supposed to be bottom of the league, one of the worst teams in the league, and they've turned the tables and they're a top 10 team in the league consistently. All they've really got to do at this point is just kind of keep right at 500 the rest of the year, and I think they're good. They build enough of a cushion Now, the rest of the season is going to be crazy difficult because the schedule's so condensed where you're playing every other day, and it's difficult. And they've got a tough March. Honestly, they do have a really tough March, but they've proven a lot of people wrong so many times. So why not again?
Yep.
Because I think they are going to be a dangerous team to have to play against in the playoffs should you have to, because just of the wealth of experience that they have on that roster. And with the combination of the young fire that's on the team that wants to make it somewhere in the playoffs, because a lot of these guys really haven't, besides the big guns. They want a chance to get somewhere, and
Mhm.
this is their shot to do it. And I'm excited to see where it takes them. It's looking like they're going to be in a playoffs. I mean, the crazy part is with what 28 games left. They've only got I think 14 more points left, and they've already passed what they got last season.
Mhm.
So I mean that's a crazy thing to think about, that they're really on pace for over 100 points. Now with that being said, I think the East is super tight. Like the entire like it's going to take a lot of points to get it. You're going to have to probably have 90 to 95 plus to get it, with how many teams are just consistently winning. But yep, I give them an A plus. I mean they've shocked a lot of people, um, and it's been fun to watch it. And I hope they just continue to do that.
Yeah. And let me ask you this: do you think, because it's a longer than normal break, 2 week break here for the Olympics, more as opposed to the All Star break, which is usually 4 or 5 days, do you think that's going to hurt or help the Penguins?
Well, I think it's going to help them because I think really out of all the teams, maybe besides Florida, they've had the most man games lost. They haven't been healthy the entire season. Since opening night, they haven't had their their regular lineup in. They've always had to just shuffle guys in and out because everybody keeps getting hurt. So I think it's going to help them a lot. I mean, especially on the right hand side defenseman wise, because Letang broke his foot right before the break, and he was on IR for 4 weeks. I mean, that's a big guy to lose, and they've been struggling without him. The power plays kind of struggled; they fizzled off. I think it gives them some time just to rest up. All the guys that aren't playing in the games. The nice thing about the Olympics too is that they're really not playing that many games. I think at most they'll play 5 or 6 games, which okay, still is a good amount of games. But they've had a few days off between their last games and having to play again either on uh, tomorrow or Friday, or Thursday or Friday, or Wednesday or Thursday. Sorry, where they get some time off to relax. You've got the games, but then you have time off again before you play. I think it'll do them really good.
Mhm.
But I could see where it could do them wrong too, because they were really on a good streak. But I think this team just needed a break to be healthy again.
Yeah.
Uh, and they they come back and they have a couple. They have like two early games in a row. Right when they come back, I think they play at home on Thursday when they come back, and then Friday or Saturday and Sunday's games are both at noon. So I mean, you're right back to it again. But I think that's just what they needed was a break.
Mhm.
As much as they were playing with so much fire, you could see they were kind of running out of gas
Mhm.
the last few games, and luckily they were picking up as many points as they could. But you could just see they're tired, they're fatigued. I mean, they're shuffling the lines like crazy, having to do that because of injuries, and it's a mental and physical toll on everybody. I think especially, for the guys going to the Olympics, I don't want to say they eased it off a little bit, but they maybe eased it off a little bit so that way they could play in the Olympic Games. So I think that this tournament's gonna light the fire for the guys that are playing in it to come back home and take their team to a Stanley Cup. But yeah, I think it'll hurt them more than it, or it'll help them more than it hurts them, really. And I think every team in this league needs the break, regardless, because
Mhm.
it's been a busy last little bit. I mean, you had the four nations and all the emotion that went into that. Then you go right to the playoffs and the finals, and that went super late into the year. Training camp, you only have a 2 month break between that training camp, and this is just the right time for everybody. I think just as much as they're athletes, they're human beings, much like people that work regular jobs. Like me and the rest of the world, you need that recharge to get back and be ready to go again. And I think this is just what the doctor ordered for the entire league. But the fun part that's going to be about this, outside of the Penguins, is what shuffling is going to happen now at this point. Because what teams are going to come back from the break, yeah, and completely fall on their face?
Yeah.
and what teams are going to come back from the break and be like, let's do this, and let's go on a big run. I don't see much of any change really happening with the teams that are in right now. Maybe like 2 or 3 at max teams that are flip flopped. But I think that the teams that are in right now have built enough of a
Mhm.
cushion or a standard on the season that they're not going to let it slip away.
No, and I agree with your assessment of the Penguins. I think A plus definitely. I was not expecting them to be as good as they are. I'm glad
They're
because there's a winning tradition in Pittsburgh going back to Mario and Yaromir back in the early '90s, and then now with Sid
well,
and the
and the
trio.
fans deserve it. The fans in that city. I mean, obviously, it's a great sports city. They deserve to see the Penguins in the playoffs again. And truthfully, you don't see loyalty in sports very often. But the three guys, the big three, have stuck with it and decided to uh, stay there and try to win again. And
Mhm,
as foolish as media, you know, and it makes me nuts as a fan of the team to hear constantly, are these guys trade bait, trade bait, trade bait? But you
yeah.
know what? They want to win there. That's where they want to play. They want to play there. And, part of me um, knows that other teams wish they had that kind of thing, where guys just
Hmm.
they're able to just set the tone in the locker room for the other guys that really shouldn't have been that great but are here in the system. It is what it is. Um, they deserve it where they're at 100%. They haven't quit on their game plan. They made a risky move with the trade. That was a big gamble, and they did it, and it's worked. And some other decisions people probably wouldn't have agreed at the beginning of the year. Um, that 11th pick in the draft, Ben Kendall, would be playing on the team all year. Probably
Hmm.
wouldn't have agreed with that, but he made the team out of camp, and his 14 goals, Brazo probably was a not really a dicey pick, but definitely wasn't expected to be where he is, and he's got 15 goals. Mantha's
Hmm.
got 20 goals. I mean, it's just worked. Whatever they've done has just got everybody's just playing the way they need to. The special teams has been a big reason for where they're at. They're top in the special teams department on both sides of it. 5-on-5 has improved. I think it's just they have that next man up mentality. Everybody's playing their role because yeah, outside of the big guys, there's not really much star power there.
Hmm.
It's true, there's not, but you don't necessarily need that. You just need guys that want it more than the other guys. And I think watching some of these games, you can attest. Even the Oiler game, there's more talent on the Edmonton side versus the Pittsburgh side, but with that kind of game, the way they played that night, the guys out there just want it more.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Yeah.
they're going to make it work.
Sometimes, sometimes you can have too much talent, not enough role players, and there's like the Toronto Maple Leafs over the last few years is a good example of that. I want to quickly say hi to Jamie and Jill. Jill, who is a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan like you, Carson.
She knows what
They
she's doing.
they just came on to watch us on our Facebook.
Yeah.
You can also catch us
Well,
on YouTube as well.
let me let me turn the tables here because I appreciate your assessment of my team. I'm glad that you see them doing well, and
Hmm.
both of our teams really are in a playoff spot. That we haven't had that since we started
Hmm.
this whole
No,
thing.
we haven't. This has been a
So this will be an
this is
unprecedented run for us if we can both be in the
this is going to
playoffs.
be nice to like you said, if things pretty much hold steady the way they are, these teams will be in the playoffs and will be a nice. It's always great to see the playoffs, but it's always better. It's always even that much better when your team is rolling through. So it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. Now, as far
Let
as
me
the
turn the
Oilers,
tables on you.
yeah,
You're probably about to go into it. Give me your assessment or grade of
okay.
your Edmonton
Well,
Oilers.
I'm going to have to be quite honest with.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
I think you're going to say like a C plus.
Well, I was going to say B minus, but a C
Okay.
in that area. It's just, and we've talked about it before. The Oilers just don't look like. Excuse me for a second.
Uh-oh. Let Dad have his hack attack real quick.
Yeah. The Oilers just aren't as strong. It looks like overall, so in this with the last couple teams that have gone to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to have to go right in there between that C plus and B minus. It's the big guys are playing. Bouchard's coming along as one of the top scoring defensemen again. You got Draisaitl McDavid. Hyman's definitely an impact since he's come back from injury. And then you got some guys that really kind of come out of nowhere with Podkolzin and Kapanen playing on a line with Draisaitl. That's been one of the better lines in the NHL that I could see. The depth is, besides not getting on the score sheet, they are playing well. They're playing hard. It's just that that's inconsistent. And we talked about the big trade between Edmonton and Pittsburgh, and of course, that involved Tristan Jarry and Stu Skinner. And when you looked at it on paper, when we both looked at it on paper after it happened, it was pretty much, we thought, a pretty just even trade
It was a
over.
wash, yeah.
Unfortunately for the Oilers, when Jarry got hurt, he was on a roll. He won his first 3 or 4 games with the Oilers before he got injured, and since he's come back, you mentioned it to me at bowling the other day. Now you're seeing the real Tristan Jarry, and it's like he called out his teammates a couple of games ago for not doing enough in front of him. This is the brand new goaltender, to the team. And then Leon Draisaitl kind of,
called him out,
and saying you got to be held more accountable.
which hasn't happened to him. Yeah. That hasn't happened to him.
So I'm not, in any way worried about the Oilers. Like, they limp into the Olympic break. They're still just a couple of points back of Vegas for first. So it's tight, like it is in the East. It's tight, other than Colorado and Dallas. Everything else seems to be pretty tight up in the West as well. But I don't see the Oilers falling out of a playoff position. The last couple of years, they wound up either in second, third place. I don't know if they can overtake Vegas and for first place in the Pacific Division. But for the Oilers, I don't think it really matters, because they've actually played better on the road this year than they have at home, as far as if you want to take a look at record-wise. I think the question is Tristan Jarry.
Yep, I was just about to say it, because I've seen it firsthand.
The Tristan Jarry that we saw earlier this season and the Tristan Jarry that we've seen at All-Star Tristan Jarry, or is it going to be that inconsistency that you saw on a nightly basis in Pittsburgh?
This is a guy that's never won a playoff series.
Yeah.
He's never won a playoff, so he doesn't have that experience yet. Now, that could be also a good thing, because he really hasn't had that experience. But, I hate to say it, but that whole him calling out everybody after that's him to a T. He just does. He cannot take accountability for when he's not playing well. He doesn't like to do it. He did it last year so many times, where there was a game against Ottawa last year, I think, where it was a questionable play. I think it was a puck that either wasn't frozen fully yet, but it was a lengthy whistle length. Regardless, it was something crazy, and he let in the goal, and he really shouldn't have. But I think he assumed that the whistle was going to go. Well, he's blaming the referees. He's blaming that there's traffic in front of him and that he can't see. It's like, or that he can't get the puck. But it's like, dude, that's your job. That's your job. Like, the guys in front of you are doing your job, but if they can't score 5 a night to bail you out, it's not going to happen. Like, and that's, I was hoping, honestly, going to Edmonton, that he would kind of get out of that. But it doesn't seem like yet that he has, and he just hasn't matured that way as a player, where he can admit when he's wrong, when he's not playing well. I mean, looking bad the other way, last week it just happened that Stu did that when we lost to the Islanders. Okay, the rough go around for him. He didn't have a good game. Again, the overtime loss to the Islanders, but he was the guy right away that said, I played bad. I screwed up. That was on me. I should have had a couple of those, and I didn't. That's my fault. We'll take the point and move on, and I'll be better. Yeah. That's the answer I feel like you want more out of your goalie than, it's Connor and Leon's fault and Bush's fault, not mine. It's your fault.
So I don't think the Oilers are going to make another deal. There was talk a little while ago about maybe they're going to make another deal for it. But I think they're just going to have to. Jarry's going to.
They're going to have to just eat that and do what they can. But I mean, the crazy part about this, really, I know you don't have. I don't know if you have. I don't think you have Twitter, but Twitter wars are insane between these two fan bases because on a night-to-night basis, if Stu has a bad game, Oiler fans blow up the Penguin pages about Stu having a bad game, and then vice versa, it's going the other way for Jars. And I don't like it because okay, it's just a lot of negativity, but it's mainly being started by the Oiler fans because there was more dislike towards Stu from y'all's fan base versus Jari from ours. As
Mhm.
much as not a lot of people cared for Jari, I don't think there's been a goalie in recent time that's been hated on more than Stu by his own team or his own fans.
And
I
there's
mean,
a guy that was the starting goaltender for you
yeah.
in the last two Stanley Cup
Well,
finals.
he
So
he didn't he was the first one to get blamed for everything, and he had to just kind of take it. But now I think if you look at it, I mean, from a standpoint, I think that the trade has been kind of not lopsided, but it's gone the Penguins' way a little bit because these contracts both are ones that are done after this season,
mhm.
and I'm indifferent about Kulak. I like his game, but he kind of worries me sometimes the way that he plays. He just kind of seems out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I want them to keep Stu around because I really like his effect for the locker room. He seems to be a good fit on the team, and he plays for the most part pretty well
Yeah.
up to this point. And I can take him at his best or his worst because at the end of the day, he will take accountability for when he's not good.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, something as a fan of the Penguins I've wanted for the last few seasons is for my goalie to say, hey, I played bad. That's on me. That makes you embrace the guy more versus not taking accountability when you're playing poor. You know, you're around guys in that locker
Mhm.
room like Sid who will easily take accountability when he's not playing well and say, I'm not playing well.
Yeah.
Or those guys that say, I'm not playing well, the fans don't deserve it. You want a goalie like that. Not one's gonna say, it's not my fault. It's
Mhm.
these guys. I should be able to see the puck 100% all the time. And you're never going to. So I hope he can change that because for the sake of you guys, that's what you need is him to be at his best. Because when he's at his best, or Jars is at his best, it's hard to play against. But when you've got him rattled, it's easy, and it's shown that a little bit in the few games that you
So
know
again, it's all about time. We'll see what happens after the break. Maybe
the break was
he
mess needed for everybody. I mean,
yeah.
especially like those two guys involved, Stu and him, because switching your life around, moving to a new country, having to find a new home, having to get settled in. If you've got little kids, you got to find out where you're going to send them to school. All that kind of stuff
Mhm.
lines up where you didn't have a break, and now they get a break. Every team in the league needs it. Everybody in the league needs it. From the GMs to the players to even the fans. As
Yeah.
much as we love watching the games, we need a break to recharge and be ready for the hectic second half
Oh,
because it is going to be
it's going to be a phenomenal run to the finish. As
yeah.
for sure. I think it's going to be one of the closest. Um,
I think it's going to be one of the closest and as well higher paced
yeah.
cuts. I think the playoff cut's going to be really high. We've seen it, in the lower 80s, mid 80s. This is going to be in the 90s. I think
Yeah.
both ways with I mean, there being 25 plus games left, and you've got teams at 64 points barely hanging on. You got Buffalo at 70 points, and they're in a wild card spot. I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy. It's going to be all about getting all the points you can. If you're losing, you better hope you're losing in overtime or in a shootout, and that you're able to string, do the whole Knobloch method. Every 8 games go like 5-3.
Yep.
Every 8 games, and you probably, if you're in the cut right now and you're going 5-3 the rest of the way, you're probably going to be in because the teams that are chasing you are going to have to win at least 1 to 2 more games out of every 8 to even catch
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Because you're not taking into effect too the amount of times those teams probably have to play each other again.
Yeah. I've speaking of Coach Knobloch of the Oilers, I've heard through some of the journalism that goes on in Edmonton, some scuttlebutt about they're not happy with Knobloch. There may be a coaching change during the break. I don't really see that happening. Knobloch is, he's got a phenomenal record the last couple of years when he took over from the Oilers. He's a good fit for he's not the Torchetti screamer off the bench. He's
That's
very
the problem I think the Oiler fans have with him and the media is that he's not the yelly, screamy coach who's gonna
Mhm.
get who's going to go after the refs when they screw up. He's just going to take it and move on. And I think the fans and the media hate it. And you know what? Yeah, I can see why that might be annoying, but it works. It
Yeah.
works. I mean, that how many coaches can say they've been to two straight cup finals? Not
Yeah.
many. And especially picking the team up like he did when they were 2-9-1
Yeah.
in the 23-24 season. They're 2-9-1, and he picks them up and they go all the way to the finals. You're a good coach if you can do that, and he's a great
Mhm.
coach. And you know, again, it's just certain pieces just take the blame more than anybody else, and that's going to
Mhm.
be coaching, goaltending, not really anything else. I
Yeah.
don't like to point fingers, but sometimes leadership can be the issue. Other than
Mhm.
that, I think the Oilers, they're fine. I'd rather them play like this and be in a spot where they'll turn it up in April because they always do, and it's
Mhm.
just how it goes. And get those guys to find their rhythm, like Kapanen and Podkolzin, because you're going to need them in
Mhm.
April.
Yeah.
And if the Oilers can just maybe start getting a little bit hot at the end of the year, because they haven't won more than 3 games all year, which is the crazy part. Um, if they can get a couple 4 or 5 game winning streaks in there, start winning some like a good chunk of these last 30 games, they'll be fine. They're fine whether they're at home or if they have home ice or not. They just got to be in the cut, and they are a favorite.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. You just got to get there, and then the Oilers will do what Edmonton has done
It
for the past
it's
few
it's
years.
much like everything else.
Yeah.
Whether you're spot one in your division or spot one in your conference or spot eight, the second wild card, you're in the cut. Anything
Mhm.
can go because we've seen it happen. The Panthers beating Boston when they had the best record in NHL history and making it all the way to the finals, and they were the wild card too.
Yeah.
It can happen, and
It can
any
happen.
team that goes in there is a favorite.
Yeah.
Honestly, at that point, you might as well just slice it up 16 ways even because every team that's in there deserves to be there and has a reason they should be winning.
Yeah. The only trade I could see happening for the Oilers is Andrew Mangiapane. I don't think he's been a fit for the Oilers since becoming a free agent. That could be I think that's the only
Yeah,
deal that if they're going to
I
make any kind of a deal.
I think too he goes to a contending team if they do it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think the Oilers would really do him dirty. I think you send him to a contending team that has honestly a decent prospect pool. I think you can get a prospect for him or a pick because he's good, but he just doesn't fit. I don't think you want to try to bargain too hard. Get something for him while you can
Yeah.
because he's going to want out of there regardless. It just doesn't. Maybe he'll go back to maybe he honestly Washington might be a team that would take him because they've had him before and they have somewhat of a prospect or a draft pool that they could use. But yeah, that's the only thing I could see happening from honestly either of our teams, besides maybe us getting a right hand defenseman. But I don't think we're going to trade anybody on the team
So,
right
but
now for.
I'm gonna stick with my B minus for the Oilers, and we'll see the last 30 games. Like we talked about, is going to be exciting hockey to watch. That's for sure for all over, not just the
Oh,
Oilers and Penguins, but
I I got to ask a question now, kind of outside of uh, our two teams. How do you feel about the Breadman trade?
well, we know that it was happening, right? And I didn't. I thought he was going to come out west. I didn't think he was going to come to LA though.
No,
I was kind of, I was kind of thinking he maybe
I
would come.
wanted him to go to the Sharks.
Yeah, Anaheim, or I was thinking Anaheim or San Jose, but I didn't really think the Kings. But that might be, depending on his attitude, that might be the push that the Kings need because I think right now
They're out.
they're out of the
They're
playoffs.
they're the first team out in the West.
Yeah, so maybe that's the push that they needed. He's a great hockey player. He played great in New York. It's just he has worn out his welcome in Madison Square Garden. And I knew it was good. The trade was coming. We knew the trade was coming because they sat him out the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
Going to LA was a bit of a surprise. I thought it was going to be one of the other California teams. Definitely knew he was coming out west. But again, let's see if
yeah,
this because the Kings have made the playoffs. As we
yeah.
know, they've played the Oilers the last 4 years in the playoffs. They're trying to get back to their winning ways when they won the cup a couple of times.
He,
That may be a good fit.
yeah. I mean, he had to
Kopitar's
say
leaving.
he had to say where he wanted to go,
Yeah.
and he wanted to go to the King. Now, personally, this is probably hot take. I hate this trade for the Kings. I
You
don't
do?
like it. I just don't think that they really have that superstar punch that can help him. I think if he went to San Jose, imagine him playing with Celebrini.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I mean, he would be those two would be feeding
Mhm.
off each other like a 1-2 punch. LA, okay, Kopi's there, but he's going to be gone. This is his
Yeah.
last season. Who else do you really got? Byfield, he's kind of been
Yeah.
meh. Maybe that helps him. Other than that, I don't think that they really have that guy that can be that 1-2 punch. He can't do it by himself. No superstar in this league has been able to win by themselves.
No.
If you got, you had Kane, you needed Taves. You needed Kopitar, you had Dustin Brown back when the Kings were winning.
Yeah.
Uh, Pitt, okay, you had Sid, you had Gino.
Yeah.
Washington, Ovi, Backstrom. Tampa Bay, Stamkos, Kucherov. Florida, Kachuk, Barkov. I mean, those guys, you need that 1-2 punch. I just don't think the Kings have it.
No.
So for the Rangers, kind of a crappy trade too, because they didn't even get that great of a. I mean, they got a good prospect in Green Tree, but a third round pick. But they had to get rid of him. And ultimately, he signs a 2-year extension in LA. So I guess it's kind of lower-ish risk for the Kings because it's only 2 seasons. But I don't like the trade. I did at first thinking like right away impulse because I just didn't think he was going to the Kings. But then thinking about it for the last 4 or 5 days, I'm like, I just don't think it's
Mhm.
that good. I think it's not going to turn out as well as I think they think or people think, and I think that it's just going to result in them getting beat again
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And there's more that the Kings need to do to get farther in the playoffs than
Yeah,
what
and
they
he's and that's not a diss on him. He's a great player, but he just needs a compliment. I just don't think he really has it on that roster.
No.
I
No.
look at the other teams that were trying to get him, and he those teams have that guy,
Mhm.
and that would I mean he would make more elite than they already are, and he would have more of the power to score a
Yeah.
lot of goals. I mean, I'm telling if I was just picturing him in that teal jersey because I couldn't picture him not playing with Celebrini how dynamic of a player he's been, and Panarin could probably have 40 goals on his wing if he wanted
Yeah.
to. But we'll see. I mean, it's again a low risk trade for the Kings because they only have him for 2 seasons, and he's a player that's going to boost them. But I just don't think enough to compete that far into it. But I could be totally wrong in 4 months, and the Kings could have the cup in their hands. I don't know. But right now, just looking at it from the outside, I just think it's kind of
Mhm.
meh.
Yeah. Well, now it's the Olympics.
Mm.
The Olympics in Italy kicked off on Friday. Leon Draisaitl was the flag bearer for Team Germany. Pasta was the flag bearer um, for
Czechia.
Chechnya. You got the Canadian team loaded with talent. The American team again loaded with talent. The other countries, Sweden, Finland, always kind of up there.
Sweden's going to be a good team.
It's, yeah, this is going to be a fun tournament. And then there's teams like Switzerland that
Yeah,
are going to
like
be kind of
Latvia, teams that could upset. Who
yep.
knows? That's the fun thing about it is that that can happen.
The
But
the women's tournament already started
yeah,
this past week. The men's tournament starts Wednesday, and there's a couple of games in Group B. Slovakia takes on Finland, and then later that day, Sweden will take on Italy, the host country. And then on Thursday is when the Americans and the Canadians get out. They're in different groups, so they won't
group
move until later in the
makes sense.
round. Yeah, it makes sense. Switzerland will take on France. That's coming up on Friday. Chechnya versus Canada. That's going to be an interesting game as well. And then in Group C, it's Latvia against the United States. And I still think Germany also is playing Denmark that same day, so we'll get to see a couple of Oilers there as well. Um, I just there's just to me, Carson, there's just too much power on the Canadian team and the American team. There's just like if they can roll out every line, it seems like with
Yeah.
Some of
I
the
mean,
best players
look at
in the
even the
world.
guys on those teams that are extras.
Yeah,
Sam Bennett's not even going to play
yeah,
for Canada. He's an extra, and
yeah,
he's a Conn Smythe winner last
yeah.
season.
So it's like
And
I just unless something happens, but
I
it's a
think the
three
only thing that
game.
could get either team is a goaltending. I mean, because
Yeah.
for the
Hmm.
Canadians, Jordan Bennington has played not good all season. Logan Thompson's played good for Washington, but he's coming off an injury. Then you look at the U.S. Hellebuck has not been very good.
Hmm.
Ottinger's been okay. Swayman's been good, but that's the only thing I think I could fault either of these teams because my goodness, they are loaded. Looking at it, I think the only obvious mistake I'll point out every time is how the United States will put Matthews as captain of that team. I
Yeah.
don't get it. Um, I don't get it. I think you've got guys on that team like Matthew Kachuk who, okay, might be a pain in the ass, but he's won twice. He knows what it takes.
Hmm.
Matthews doesn't know, but that's just my opinion. I watched him in Four Nations not do anything last year,
It's a
and
I think it's a
yeah,
popularity contest more than like
yeah,
who is the actual
yeah.
leader of the team.
Yeah, and then it's neat to see, like in the Canadian side, how on the A's, McKinnon and McCarr swapped out. So McCarr is now an alternate, and McKinnon's not, which is interesting to see how that's working. But um, I mean, that out of all the teams, I think that choice was the most obvious. They'll always pick the same person as the C, regardless.
As long as Sid can still skate him up and play in the Olympics, he's going to
Yeah,
be Captain Canada.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah, and it's
and like
fun.
and everybody like you get guys like McDavid who could easily be the
Yeah,
captain.
and they're
Says
like,
no,
we don't.
it's
Yeah,
Sid's deal until
yeah.
he's done.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I saw a picture on Twitter today, and the Canadian guys had gone out, I guess, for just the day to see around Milan and stuff, and they took a group photo. And it's funny, they have the guys over there, and you can tell some of them probably have had a little bit to drink. They're having a good time, like Marchand and guys. And then you have on the outside, on the top row, Sid standing there on the outside, like out of everybody. And some of the comments I saw in there that he looked like he was a school chaperone, making sure everybody was on their best behavior and not doing anything stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, it's going to be fun. I think we both know who we're rooting for. Obviously, even though I'm an American citizen, I always align with my Canadian roots when it comes to these international tournaments. That's
mhm.
that's my heritage. That's who I always will
Yeah.
uh,
And
be rooting
I've lived
for.
more time. I spent more time living in the United States than I did back home in Canada. But I'm still,
Uh,
when it comes to
yeah, when it comes to these
international
tournaments, it means
competition,
more. It means more to, um, you're we're regardless of citizenship, we're both Canadian.
yep, exactly.
I
We
mean,
are.
that's our heritage. That's who we are, and
Mhm.
it's going to be fun to root them on. Obviously, it's cool that both of our favorite players now are on the same roster. It's cool to watch that same
Always
power
fun to
play
see them
group,
play
and
together. That's for sure.
yeah.
Like that.
Oh, and did you see that McDavid's on a line with Tom Wilson
Yeah.
and Celebrini? So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the both American and Canadian teams are loaded though. Don't underestimate that. They're both elite rosters. It's going to be fun to see. Hopefully, those two teams meet up at some point in the latter part and having a part three of the Four Nations,
Yeah.
because that was one of the biggest turning points in sports, really, in America, with how these leagues are going to run their all stars. That
Mhm.
it completely revolutionized that aspect, and we had never seen a best on best American
Yeah.
and Canadian game and with this generation of the league. And now we're getting that again.
Yeah.
Most likely because they'll probably end up playing each other in the bracket. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. And obviously, us watching the guys, you know, from our respective teams that are playing as well outside of US and Canada, like, you know, drive for Germany. We've got Carlson and Raquel for Sweden. Shilovs will be the starter for Latvia, which will be kind of cool. Uh, who else on y'all's team is in there? Ekholm for Sweden, or is he
No,
out?
no, they didn't. He didn't make the Swedish lineup.
Is it just McDavid
The,
and Dry, or are
no,
there
the,
others?
the new kid that they called up from Bakersfield. Um,
Oh, not so.
he, he played the last 3 or 4 games. He's playing for Germany.
Okay.
So he's technically the third Oiler that's going to be playing.
Yeah.
His name escapes me right now because he just got to the big club here in a little while. But he's so the Oilers have three
Yeah.
um, representing uh, one in Team Canada, two in Team Germany. Now, if you're not familiar with the format of the Olympic tournament, each country will play 3 games in the preliminary round in their group, leading to the qualifying round. Then it will be the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the final. Now, as far as points, it all is based on a point system. A team will earn 2 points for a win in regulation time or during overtime, including sudden death overtime or a shootout. Uh, Tying a game, if a game ends in a tie after regulation time, like in the NHL, both teams will receive 1 point, and then they'll see who gets the second point.
Yeah.
Losing a game, a team loses in overtime or a shootout, they earn a point. A loss in regulation time, well, of course, they don't get
Nothing.
any points at all. And then in overtime and shootouts, if the game ends in a tie after regulation, both teams will receive 1 point. As I mentioned, an additional
You're
point is
playing for the
awarded
extra
to the
point. Yeah.
team. It's kind of like what it is
It's
in
like it
the
is in the NHL, pretty much.
so you're gonna play you're gonna play 3 games in your bracket, so you get a possible total of 6 points that you can get, and then they'll move on to the qualifiers from that. Okay, each NHL team has at least one player participating in the Olympics. The Florida Panthers have NHL high 10 players. The
God.
Golden Knights have 9. The Bruins, Colorado, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay each have 8. And then you go down the line, but every team in the NHL is represented by at least one player at the Olympics. One of my favorite guys with the Four Nations, Seth Jarvis of the Hurricanes, was selected to replace
Yes.
Brandon Point for Team Canada. Point was him and McDavid really worked well together in the Four Nations. But Jarvis is going to step in. He's pretty.
He's just a fun energy, I think, for the guys. I mean, he's young. He's in his early 20s. He just wants to have fun, and that's how he plays. And he really probably won't play, but he's a part of the team, and he's a good addition to it. They needed that kind of energy. Yeah, I mean, this is I think to me, this is the marquee event of the Olympics
Yeah,
because you've got you much as like you do the Summer Olympics, the basketball is always the one that's really the big hitter because it's the best players in the NBA, which is the most marquee league and the whole like that exists and that thing. Now you got the NHL, okay. The other events like the skiing, snowboarding, don't get me wrong, that stuff's all cool. But you've got the NHL, which is a marquee sports league
hmm
that's got their best players coming out to this tournament. And it's only fitting too that this is probably one of the last events to finish
yeah.
because it's going to be a longer tournament. It's going to be a week and a half to 2 weeks
They,
long.
they they want it to be the highlight at the end of the
Yeah,
Olympics.
and it's going to. And
Yeah,
if it plays out the way that everybody probably wants, it's probably going to be the last game, U.S. and Canada playing for the gold again. And what's going to happen. But yeah, this is the marquee, in my opinion, the marquee event of the Olympics, just because of the guys that are going to be playing, and you've got people that love other sports. I think that are based upon Four Nations going to be watching this tournament too.
yeah. And it's who knows, it's going to just be a fun tournament to watch. Always great. I love the Olympics both summer, but I really love the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
Some of the sports that maybe folks down here in the United States don't really get to see that much of. And one of the more popular sports at the Winter Olympics is curling, which I played and did when I was back home in Canada. Curling, the luge, the bobsleds, all that. But you're right, hockey is that's the reason why the men's tournament started late. Nothing against the women's tournament because the women's tournament has been really good so far. Team
yep,
USA
it has.
looks very strong on the women's side. But you get that last day or second to last day of the Olympics, and it's the gold medal game in men's hockey. You can't beat that at all. So we're going to be back and forth throughout the tournament. We'll probably do something depending on where the situation is after the preliminary rounds, leading into the brackets. being into the middle rounds and stuff like that. We'll just kind of do some hit and miss stuff, but we'll let you know what we're going to do. Again, you can check us out live on our YouTube channel, Best Boys Center Ice Podcast on YouTube, also here on Facebook. So this podcast we just did is going to be re-aired here in just a few minutes. I'd like to thank everybody who joined us tonight. Jamie and Jill, thank you very much. Jamie made a comment or that he thinks that he's too good for the team that doesn't want to be associated with him. So you're gonna have to find out what she was talking about, because I didn't catch what we were talking about when she said that.
When did she did it say what mark she
said, or that he thinks that he's so good for the team and doesn't want to be associated with them. Maybe you're gonna have to find out about that one.
Jari?
I'm not sure what at one point that we were talking that
had to have been Jars then, because that was the only player we really talked about.
He said crybaby. Another mistake for a captain is crybaby. Sid, that's between you two. That's between he should just okay. You two battle that one out. I'll
golden goal. He scored the golden goal. They won the Four Nations with hey, if the machine ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, for her, of course, her fellas, Ovi is not playing because
and Tom Wilson's playing, but he's didn't get a letter, but he's on the top line.
Yep, he's on the top line with McDavid. That's not too bad.
Cool your roll a little bit here.
Yeah.
we're
Thank you everybody for joining us tonight on the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast. Carson, great stuff as usual. We'll talk to you as we
go through the Olympic tournament. I got to call Jamie after this.
Yeah, give her a call. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.
Yeah.